guys, my name is Lucy and welcome to my stretch routine. Please do subscribe to my channel if you're new and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. First, I'm going to be starting off with a 3-minute cardio. I think it's super important to start with a bit of cardio as you don't want to be stretching cold. I'm going to be doing each exercise for 30 seconds and as you can see here, I'm just starting with a simple jog on the spot just to get my body moving. I'm going to be doing a voiceover for this whole video, so if you would rather do it to music, please feel free to mute me and just put on your own music in the background. Also, little disclaimer, I am not the most flexible person in the world, but you guys had really been asking for this video, so I just thought that I would go ahead and film it. As you can see now, I'm moving on to some high knees. I hate high knees. I get so tired doing them and my hip flexors get absolutely exhausted, and as you will see by the end of this 30 seconds I'm really starting to hate my life. I keep my hands out in front of me just to encourage me to keep my knees coming up, but as you can see I'm not quite hitting my hands every single time, but it's really good for mobilizing the legs and getting your heart rate up. Now we're going to be moving on to some bum kicks. I'm just turning to the side to show you what I'm doing, and you can see my snazzy new trainers. I am obsessed with these trainers. In case you are interested, they are the Nike 270 Air Max React, I think they're called, and they are the comfiest, bounciest trainers ever. Talking about the bum kicks, I really enjoy these ones actually, and I find them not easy, but definitely easier than high knees, so they were a nice break after the high knees. Next, we're moving on to my favorite cardio exercise. These are Heisman's. I have been doing these in Bobby's Bakery workouts, and honestly, I am obsessed with them. They are just such a fun cardio exercise, and I feel like they're really good at targeting those muscles that you target in the high knees, because you're running to the side and then pulling up the opposite knee, but I don't find them as strenuous as high knees. So I'm just keeping light on my feet in the little run in the middle and then pulling up that knee and the opposite arm. Now I'm moving on to a double jump and a squat pulse. So I'm just doing 2 tiny bounces in the middle and then squeezing down into the squat. In the squat, I'm making sure to keep my weight on my heels and I'm trying not to let my body fall forward. It's really important to keep your body and torso upright when you're doing these squats. So I'm just continuing on to these. Your heart rate will drop a little bit in this section, but that is okay. By this point, you can see I keep glancing over at my laptop thinking, when will this end? And the final exercise is going to be your classic star jump. I love a star jump. Is my technique for the star jump the best? Probably not. Usually when I'm doing these, I actually do some to the front, some to each side, and some to the back, just to mix it up a bit and make sure that I don't get bored. But as I was only doing it for 30 seconds, I just kept them all to the front. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was quite exhausted by this point. After my cardio, I'm just going to move into 5 high releases. These are really good for mobilizing the back and the spine. So I'm doing a grand plie in second, bringing my arms over the top of my head in a very relaxed fifth, giving a high release of the back and then bending over and repeating this 5 times. This is not a full back bend, guys. It's just simply a high release to mobilize the back and get your body ready to stretch. Now moving in to the actual stretch routine. Here I am in a normal standard forward lunge. You want to make sure that your front knee doesn't go over your front toe. As you can see, I'm rocking back and forth. You guys just need to do whatever feels good for you. Here we have the option to pop your elbows down on the floor if you're feeling a little bit flexible, and you can turn out that front foot. Just take your time in this position, guys. Ease into it and do whatever feels good for you. I'm going to be trying to hold each stretch for around 30 seconds. Now I'm stretching both of my legs and bringing my nose to my front knee where I can, if possible. This is possibly the most unflattering angle, but we'll just keep going. So in this stretch, you really want to keep your feet and your hips parallel to the front. If you turn out your hips and you distort them, then you will feel more flexible. However, in the long run, this straight parallel stretch will do you so much better. Here I'm bending my back knee and lifting up my front toe just to deepen the stretch. If you don't feel comfortable doing this yet, that is no problem, or you can pick one or the other. So you could just bend your back knee or just pick up your front toe. You guys can take this however you want and make it appropriate for you and for your level. Again, I'm just holding this for around 30 seconds. Now I'm transferring my weight onto my front foot. This is a killer hamstring stretch. I remember the first time I did this, I thought I was going to die. I always feel super unflexible when I'm doing this one, but it is such a good deep hamstring stretch. That back leg that is off the floor, just feel free to put it wherever feels comfortable. It does not need to be high, just wherever feels good for you in that stretch. You're really focusing on the leg that is straight and trying to get your hands to the floor. Now I'm just moving back through the straight leg position and into another lunge. Here I'm just doing a normal forward lunge as I did before, but popping my hands up on my knee. Now I'm popping my knee on the floor to get into that hip flexor. Guys, you can go forward and back, rock around in this position, whatever feels good, and you really feel like you're getting that deep stretch into your hip flexor. Then you're going to bring your right arm over the top and pull in your back toe. Again, hold this wherever feels comfortable for you. Here is another little upgrade option. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can pop both of your hands on your back foot. And if you'd like to increase the stretch even more, put some resistance on that back foot and push out the way. Now we're going to fold back into a one-legged forward fold. I'm not sure if that's a technical name, but that's what I'm going to call it. You can flex your front foot to increase the stretch, but basically what you're trying to do is flatten your back onto your front leg. As you can see, my back is not completely flat because my hamstrings were feeling mega tight. But again, just hold this wherever you want and make sure to breathe through your stretches, guys. The breath will help to relax the muscle. Here I'm just putting my hands on my front toe and pulling it back into a flexed position and trying to flatten my back as much as possible. Here it's not the aim to get your nose to your knee, the aim here is just to keep a flat back and flex that front foot. Now I'm going back through the forward lunge and moving into a side squat lunge. If you can't get your heel all the way down or you can't get your hands on the floor, that is no problem, just hold this wherever you can. But if you can, pull your hands off the floor and move through second to the other side. I'm going to transfer back again to the other side, keeping your hands off the floor if you can, but if you have to walk them around, that is no problem. Then you're going to pop your left hand behind your bottom and put your right hand on your knee and push it outwards into a turned out position. You don't want to force this, but you just want to use your hand to encourage it to move into a turned out position. Now you're just going to do the same with your other side. You're going to pop your right hand behind your bottom and use your left hand to push your left knee outwards into a turned out position. And sadly for me, we now have to repeat that all on the left. Again, I'm going into a forward lunge on the left side. I'm not a fan of stretching my left side, but we all need to stretch our bad sides, guys. Don't just focus on your good side because you don't want to be an uneven dancer. Again, here is the option to pop your elbows on the floor and to rock back and forward. As I said before, do whatever feels right for you. You can work up to this. I have been stretching for many years, so just do what is right for your level. Now I'm going to pull both my legs up into the straight leg position, again keeping my hips parallel to the front. My teacher used to say to me, imagine that you have two spotlights on your hips and you want to keep them going straight ahead. Here I nearly fell over as well, so that was fun. Now I'm going to bend my back knee as I did on the other side, and you can also lift off your front toe if you feel like it. Here I'm lifting off my front toe and using one of my hands just to encourage it into a more flexed position to increase the deep stretch behind the hamstring and behind the knee. Again, I'm walking forward into this kind of half forward fold position and bringing that back foot off the floor. Make sure that all of your weight is on that front foot and try and put minimal weight onto your hands. Your hands are more just there to keep you balanced. Again, this back foot that is off the floor can be wherever you want it to be. It can be bent, it can be stretched, whatever is comfortable. Moving back through the forward lunge, I'm popping my hands up onto my knee and lifting my torso upwards, trying to keep that back leg as straight as possible. The straighter your back leg is, the better the stretch is going to be. This is also really good for the core because it encourages you to hold your balance. Now you're going to pop your back knee down onto the floor and push forward into that hip flexor. In this stretch, you want to make sure that your front knee, so the left knee in this case, does not go over your left toes. You want to keep them well inlined and well stacked. You need to focus on the hip flexor, not on the front leg. Now again, I'm just bringing my left arm over the top and pulling in my back toes. As I said, on the other side, you have the option to use both hands. This was a bit of a struggle for me on this side, but whatever you feel right for your level. Again, this is totally optional. You can add one hand or two hands. Now we're going into my least favorite stretch of all time, the forward fold on the left side. You need to try and get your nose as close to your knee as possible, but as again, try not to distort the hips. Although you may feel more flexible if you distort your hips, in the long run, keeping them parallel and doing the stretch properly will mean that you will be more flexible. Again, you're going to take your front foot and use your hands to flex the foot and try and get as flat a back as possible. For me, this is not too good on the left side, but as I said before, perseverance is key when it comes to stretching. The more you do it, the more flexible you will get, I promise. Coming back through the forward lunge into the side lunge, and we're lifting the hands off the floor, transferring through second to the other side. Then you're going to come back to second, straighten your legs and walk your hands forward into this position. In this position, you want to have the feeling of getting your chest to the floor. We're going to take a plie for 2, stretch for 2, and another plie for 2 and stretch for 2. After that, you're going to walk your feet together, keeping your arms in the same position, and we're going to go into a downward dog style stretch. Here I am just padding through the feet. You can do alternate feet, you can hold it for longer, you can keep both your feet together. Again, do whatever feels right for you. This stretch is really good for getting into your calves. Then you're just going to walk your hands back to your feet, bend your knees and roll up slowly through the spine. Now we're going to move into a stretch in second on the floor. You want to keep both your hips on the floor and your toes pointed throughout. Here I am coming into a right side stretch. You want to bring your right arm over your head and your left hand can either join your right hand or can come on the floor in front. Now I'm going to be moving into nose to knee on the right side. You want to keep your toes pointed and make sure that your left bottom cheek stays on the floor. The more your left bottom cheek stays on the floor, the deeper stretch this is going to be. Now I'm moving on to this stretch in a flat back position, so I'm using my hands to flex my front toe and trying to get my back as flat as possible. Moving through the pointed toe position, I'm going to repeat it on the other side. In this position, you really want to keep your chest as open to the front as you possibly can. If you collapse forward, the stretch is not going to be as effective, so try and keep your chest really, really open. Again, moving into the nose to knee, you also need to think about the turnout on the opposite leg while you are doing this stretch. So here you really want to think of rotating your right thigh and hip back and keeping your leg turned out. Again, moving into the flexed foot position, you can use your hands to help your foot flex and to get that really, really good stretch behind the knee. For me, behind the knee is where I'm really, really tight. Now I'm going to be moving into 4 around the world stretches. I'm not sure that is the technical name, but that is what I like to call them. So we are going to be alternating between left and right, so you will do 2 each way. Here you're basically just moving through every position that we just stretched in as fluid a movement as possible, and you can use your hands to help you get around. This one I really enjoy because I feel it really gets out those little kinks and bumps that you may have missed before. Now I'm bringing up my arms into a jazz fifth above my head and performing a flat back forward to the center. In this stretch, you really want to make sure you keep your hips on the floor and keep thinking of the turnout rotation in your hips and your thighs, and also keeping your toes pointed, unlike mine right now. Now you have the option to hold that stretch or roll through into box splits and then push back through. No problem if you can't do this, this can be something you can work towards. Now on to our final section, which is everyone's favorite, not splits. So here I am just doing a right leg split. I like to take my mat away when I'm doing splits because I just get stuck on it and it's not very practical. In splits, you really, really want to keep your hips as parallel as you possibly can. If you remember what we discussed before about the headlights, that really, really helps me out. Here you have the option to do a forward fold onto your front leg and rock around just to make sure you've got every single section stretched. but just holding your splits no matter where you are is such a good exercise. Even if you are 30 centimeters off the floor and you can only get your fingertips on the floor, that is no problem. Holding splits every day means you will see an improvement. Now we're going to move on to the left side, which, as we know, is not my favorite, but we need to do our bad side as well. On the left side, I really have to think about my back leg being parallel. Splits is so much easier with your back leg turned out. However, as we have said before, if you do all of these stretches in a true parallel, it will pay off in the future. Again, you have the option of the forward fold. I'm not as good at it on this side, but as we said before, practice will make you more flexible. So just build up to these stretches. If you can't do them today, that is no problem. If you can't do them next month or even in 3 months' time, that is okay. You will be improving. Now, the very final exercise is box splits. I personally like box splits because I have quite flexible hips, but for some people it is absolute torture. So just hold it wherever you are, no matter how far away from the floor you are, that is okay. If you are closer to the floor, you have the option of popping your hands down and possibly lying forward. I thought this was going to be comfortable, but it really was quite horrendous. Just take your time to breathe into this stretch and really think about relaxing your muscles. The more you breathe in and relax, the easier the stretch will get. Once you have done that, just move out of it safely and slowly, and we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you soon.